I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity Top Gun Sales Bootcamp Training. Is this going to be a favorite for you? I don't know. We'll see. Um, Kenny and Luke, how's it going on the PPA? Like, what are you guys learning from jumping on and doing it, using it?
I found my old one yesterday,
Nice.
and
Okay.
then I got depressed. It was like 1%. Terrible.
Well, it's not so bad because it's pretty easy to improve by 100%. So let me go back and ask another question. Kenny, did you find an old PPA that you used?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So it's fascinating to me. Like my mind, I don't know if you guys are as fascinated as my mind as I am, but I am fascinated by how my mind works. Like I even have something for this on why people, answer questions that I didn't ask. It's just fascinating. Like, so poor listener, fear, arrogance, low EQ, sphere of influence. So there's five reasons why people give me an answer to a question that didn't ask. So it's always fascinating. If you answer a question that I don't ask, I don't know, it just endears me to you. And so, Luke, how about you?
I have kind of set it up, but I haven't been using it really. So
Don't worry, it's fine. Don't, yeah, no, you got all the time in the world. You're fine. You're totally cool. It's take your time for sure. Don't want to, don't definitely want to take a year to get that bad boy. Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, this is probably a really hard thing, and it's going to get a lot easier going into the future. So yeah, no, take your time. Questions, guys?
Thanks.
You know me, like I just want to be an encourager. These amiables, they really like it's just like you guys, what a great guy Mark is. Like he's such an encourager, and holy cow, like we're gonna, you know,
such a such a nice guy.
such a nice guy. Holy cow.
Makes me
That
just
just
want to do the PPA now.
right. I mean, because he's such a nice guy. Like, like so nice. Nora, what you got?
I had 43% yesterday.
Yeah. Nice.
Um, I do have
How
a
much
question.
extra work do you think it would have taken to get 50%?
Mm, depends
Um,
on if people pick up.
okay. Um, so what's your goal? So your goal for last week was your goal for I'm just feeling really amiable and expressive today.
Oh, look at you go.
I mean, it's just what hit me in my sleep last night. Dang. Holy cow. Wow. You guys can't wait for that. That's coming up soon here. Um, so what was your goal for last week on points, Nora?
600.
And what'd you get?
I think it was like 895.
Jeepers, girl, you go. What's your new goal for this week?
Fair question. I thought it was 600, but it should probably go up, right?
I mean, I don't know. It's up to you, right? I mean, it really suck if it went down to like I don't know if you look at yesterday's points. I don't know, was it 115 points that you got? Times five, that would have been 575 points. So not terrible. I mean, little push you can get to 600, and so you probably don't want to do again that amiable. When the amiable kicks in for me, you guys are like, he must be natural at it. Like he's just so good at the like you definitely don't want to get, you definitely don't want to go to 900 points. I mean, two back-to-back day, weeks like that. Like, yeah, no, you don't want to do that.
Right.
Anything else you got, Nora?
Yeah, okay, so I had a question on like being a female in a very dominant male industry. How does that I don't even know how to explain it. What happened yesterday? Like how do you determine when to do something or not, or like,
Right. I get it. So, I was 24 years old building a sales force. So I'm 24, young guy. And, most of the guys I'm recruiting are young guys too, young males, some of them married like me, some of them having kids like me, some of them not, some of them unmarried. And so, so it's mostly male. So loan officers, mostly male. And then Mary Glavin comes along, and she's our same age, but she's a young, attractive female, and she's smart. Holy cow, is she smart. And I don't know how, I just knew. I'm like, hey. So navigated her through that. She ended up being one of our best salespeople, like way up there, second, like right up there with Dan Graham. Ended up owning her own company. After I left the company, a few years later, she went ahead and started her own mortgage company. Very, very successful. Very, very successful. So it's harder. It's harder for a woman, but there's advantages that women have over men in selling, and there's advantages men have over in selling. So, and so it seems like a woman has to consider. It seems like a woman has to go ahead and consider a lot more factors. So she's got to work harder mentally. She's got to anticipate more. She's got to anticipate more than a man does. So how do you do that? I don't know. You ask questions like you just did. You get wise people around you and listen to them. Like you, you put systems in place to make sure you're cautious, careful, because a lot of stuff can go. And if you're in a really closed community, not that you are anything, but if you're in a really closed community, whoa, I'm telling you, it's insane, working in the Amish community on how more complex that is, than in the English, than in the non-Amish. You go ahead, if you do most your business over the phone, if you do most your business over the phone, oh my goodness.
so what are some of like the pros and cons of meeting someone in person versus just like
So
over the phone?
yeah, the biggest pro is it's easiest to sell in person if you're good at it. And the amount of business you can make in person is insane. The biggest con is you get addicted to that and you never learn how to really sell. And your time, and you're locked into it. Not only are you locked into selling probably, over the phone, but you have to service over the phone. So you probably increase your cost, maybe time cost, by 200-300%. You're highly restrictive. So I learned how to sell over the phone before I did in person. Once you learn how to sell in person, it's very hard to switch to the phone. If you learn how to sell over the phone, and so you're highly restricted. If you have to sell in person, and it's typically laziness. Like it's just, being lazy because it's comfortable, it's easy. And so your restrictions are probably, you have 10 times the restrictions, and you're probably 1/100th or 1/1000th of your capability. I mean, it's brutal. It's just brutal. And a lot of times, if if that's what you're doing. So I spent 15 years selling over the phone, no internet, no Zoom, just picking up the phone, just picking up the phone and calling people. Never met them, sold them over the phone, serviced them over the phone. Everything was done. You're either going to make far less money, work far more hours, and or charge your customers far, far more, which they often aren't going to be willing to pay. So you're going to end up working a lot more hours. You don't have the freedoms. You're highly enslaved if you have to do in person, highly enslaved. Like I can, when I went ahead and moved, when I moved from the Chicago suburbs over to northern Indiana, I mean, I can move anywhere in the world because my business it's all over the phone. I can sell over the phone, service over the phone. I can do anything. So yeah, I definitely would highly recommend don't get used to doing in person, especially you, because you like your freedom. And so I would be very, very cautious. I would go ahead and if you do it in a group like Coffee Connection, well, then you can do it in mass. And there's multiple people and a whole bunch. You can learn to sell like in person doing seminars. Oh, that's something you definitely are looking at doing. So that you can do in person doing seminars and workshops for sure. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Anything else, Nora?
How
No.
does that apply to someone who's selling roofs?
Well, again, first you got to get over you're not selling roofs. You're selling dreams. And if your house is, flooded with water, hard to have, dreams. And so, you're not selling roofs.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're selling dreams. And so, you referral partners, so you have referral partners, you do seminars with referral partners. Do you go ahead and, do you have something in the workbook where you have once a month where you bring people in on, so people, or write it down because we got a lot to cover today. But Tom Kuntz had the most ingenious way to sell real estate. I'm telling you, and it would work. Oh, this is one, Nora, you don't have on your list for Tom. And so if we could get Tom to do this one. So he had, I don't know what we call it. Like I'm your realtor for life. Like I'm your builder for life. Well, the short story is he would tell people when he says, I want to be your realtor to life. And so I want you to think of the ideal dream home, your lifelong home, the home you dream of, the home you're gonna live in your whole life. And he would get them to visualize that. Like he would get them to visualize it. And then he'd get it and say, that's your dream home. Like that's your lifelong home. And they'd be like, yep. He says, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to trust me. I'm going to help you get there. When do you want to get there? I want to get there in 10 years. Okay. I'm going to help you get there in 10 years or shorter. But what you need to do is you need to trust me. And so I'm going to sell you a home. It's going to be a nice home, good home, but it's not going to be your dream home. And I'm going to find you your dream home, but you need to sell when I tell you to sell and buy when I tell you to buy. So essentially, it's kind of like in Top Gun, if you want to be really successful in Top Gun, if you go for the highest level and I am your mentor, do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it, how I tell you to do it with great attitude. It's really simple. It's not complicated. That's essentially what he did. That's what he did to his, like, I'm going to get you into your dream home, but you have to do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it, how I tell you to do it, do it with great attitude. It's just ingenious. So he'd go ahead and sell him a home, and then he'd be like, okay, the next home after this is this home. And then the next home after this is this home. And then he would go ahead and he'd sell them a home every 3-4 years. And he would push them. Genius. So, so Kenny and Luke, you guys have like that a principle fits in with your brand really good. But you have a customer, you have a client, you have a customer, that kind of goes waffles on and off. Do they put an addition on for a big room? Yeah. I mean, and they've got the money. Like it's there. Like the money's there. Like it's not money. It's just, I don't know, is it good stewardship? And then, you got, a customer that wants this really super nice greenhouse. But, the husband, he said he's made a determination, like he's willing. Yeah, the money's there, can do it. But, wife wants the greenhouse. So obviously, and butterfly house and everything. And husband says, yeah, I mean, it's not just a blank check, but, there's money there for it. But this time he said, yeah, the wife's going to need to drive it forward. And she's not. He's fine with it, I guess, whatever. I mean, having a third of a greenhouse, like put a tarp over it. So you guys have, but you don't have the systems in place. So, I mean, probably every woman probably wants to go ahead. So Tom Kuhn says, what's the biggest competitor to home buying? So it's buying a home has gone up. I think the average age now is 31 of the first time home. And so the biggest enemy to buying a home is your iPhone, mini bikes, motorcycles. It's entertainment. It's something, it's fun. And so you get a wife, often the wife is the one that wants something more in the home. Or are you willing to make a sacrifice and not, are you willing to make a sacrifice and not go ahead and go on vacation? Are you willing for your husband to work more hours? Are you willing to go ahead and get a job yourself and put that away for it? Like you guys, oh my goodness. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy what you guys could do. But you got to think outside the box. Then you got to work outside the box. Eventually you say, what box? Kenny, what you got?
On that, like building a system for recruiting new people. Have you ever done that? Do you have something for that or not?
I do.
Where would that be something the EPA would have access to?
Most of that system's in my head.
Got it. Okay.
The principles are there, and you can build a system. You can build a system on the fly. Like almost all my systems have always been built on the fly. Like I build them. Like if you're onboarding somebody, well, I'm going to do the ideal thing for this person, then I'm going to put it into a system. I mean, you guys, if you guys are up on your email, which I'm sure you guys are like, yeah, I'm all over that one. Like, unless of course, iterations and you plan to live to 200 or not achieve your goals. Like, I don't know. And so, but you guys saw like there's an ad in the newspaper and, for you guys, and it was pretty different than what I had. And I said, you put a link to it. So there's things that you guys are missing. Like you have a spreadsheet and a text document. Those two, they're interconnected. And so what's the ad? Okay, what's the first day? What are we going to do? Put it into a system. In a way, it's not that hard. And so you go ahead and say, okay, so day one. So when you look at the implement strategic strike, that's for typically, that implement strategic strike, that's for area 2 pre-sales, right? No. It's actually for onboarding. So you hire somebody and you say, okay, well, what's the first email that I send to them? What's the first conversation? So what's the second conversation? What's the third conversation? Like if they're married, take them and their wife out to a nice dinner or something. And so what questions am I going to ask? What kind of an experience, like the experience for your team members are more important than the experience for your customers. And then you build on that, and then you go ahead and retain that, and you do the next one, and then you do the next one. And you just continue to build on it. That's how I've always built my systems that way. It takes just a little bit longer to do it than just to do it, and then you review over it. It's easy for me. It's hard for me to train other people in doing it. And it's been impossible to teach people to use checklists. I don't know. They just don't. But they don't have the mind I do. So I have a checklist of a mind. It's like, okay, this. Anything else, Kenny, you got?
So what's the what do you think the principal way of living or thinking?
Or you're back to where you're cutting in and out again.
Or that?
You're cutting in and out again like you were a few days ago. Luke, what you got?
So yesterday, I think it's for the first time that I went into sales, somebody asked me for a quote after I told them I'd give them a quote, and then they had to remind me about it.
So what's your question?
How does that never happen again?
Well, good question. You also, how did it go ahead? Why did it happen in the first place?
It was just a small job and not sure.
So, small jobs, you don't care about integrity. Small jobs, you don't care about, in Burn, they said that, a little job he didn't even charge for, led to a much larger job. Like, you don't care about little jobs or little integrity. No big deal there. The little guy you don't care about. Is that what you're saying?
No.
No, that's what you're saying.
Maybe.
No, pretty much. Oh, sorry. Ooh, I went from an amiable to to an analytic. Yeah, people don't like the analytics so much. So they find flaws in what they're thinking. And so you didn't have the system, one, or you didn't follow the system. Two, you didn't see the future. So as you get more work, you have to have more discipline. Like if you're going to juggle, 8 balls versus 4 balls, you have to focus in. So you have to be more disciplined. Like when you look at the, like you're not internalizing things well. Like here, when you go ahead and say consistent and committed, driven, so this white paper here, I'm sure you've read this. And so, would this be good to have in your system? Like you guys, I'm just as committed to help, a wife achieve her goals as her husband who's working for me. Is that true? Like, what's your dreams and what's your goals? Like, what do you want to do? What do you want your marriage to be? What do you want your family to be? Like, I'm not going to ask him that unless I'm really going to follow through on that. Like, and so should she read this just as much as he reads this? And so, so consistent and committed, you didn't internalize that. So I'm impressed that you brought it up. That's awesome. So great work on that. That's success through self-vaporization. You are applying that one. That's good. Anything else, Luke?
Nope.
Nice. Good. So the costs just get bigger. $10 mistake is going to be $100 mistake, going to be $1,000 mistake, going to be 10,000. That actually fits in to what my sleep last night was. When I woke up this morning, it's like, wow, my mind was on fire.
What was your sleep last night?
We'll get to that as soon as I gotta fly through this thing. So Kenny, are you back or not? And
I think so.
okay, go ahead.
Principle-based living or thinking. Why is that so important, or what do you think that is so important in becoming who we were created to be?
What was the first part of that?
Principle-based living or thinking.
Oh, gotcha. So it's fascinating to me on how even people, my own kids, my wife, 41 years, people around me don't understand. Like Mark's all about principle. It's all about principles. And see, if you fix things at the core, you're going to have, we have 10 problems in our life, but we actually only have 1 or 2 or 3 problems. If we fix those 1 or 2 or 3, all 10 would disappear. So there's connecting of the dots. There's things in our lives that aren't working, and we don't realize that it's connected back into a principle that's being violated. And so somebody can see success. This is why in school and math, you show your work, because you can come up with the right answer. But if you're following the wrong principle, the wrong process, you're following the wrong process. I think it was George Halas, I think, that went ahead and said Green Bay Packers won the Super Bowl, first one. And it's all about principle. You can win 1 or 2 games. You can have 1 or 2 winning seasons if you have, you just work hard, whatever. Like even a blind squirrel finds a nut. But principles are much, much, much stronger. Like my grandfather, he went ahead and said, Grandpa Boersma said, if you can't tithe on $1, tithing is giving 10%. If you can't tithe on $1, don't deceive yourself into thinking that you're going to tithe on $1 million. You won't. If you can't be consistent and disciplined on little things, if you can't follow through, if you don't have integrity on the little things, you're not going to have integrity on the big. You just won't. You just will not. So don't deceive yourself into thinking it. And so the principle, what's the principle? What's the process? Great question. Andrew, what you got? Okay. So, quickly. Or not. Okay. So here we have questions and thought I had in my sleep last night. Okay. So how do you help people realize the significance of things? How do you help people realize how damaged their hearts truly are? How do you help people realize how selfish they are, how they lie to themselves and others, and how they use other people for their own benefit while believing the opposite is true? How do you go ahead and help people? I can't tell you how many people in the last year have said I'm twisted what they're saying. It's not. I'm not saying it never happens. I'm just saying it's not. People hate when you go ahead and point something out that's twisted in their own thinking, and they're like, you're twisting what I'm saying. Am I? Are you sure? Are you sure you're just not twisted thinking and I'm just pointing out and you just hate it? Like, it's not about twisting what they are saying or doing. It's about how twisted they're thinking. And they're typically around other people who've twisted thinking too. So they think, well, this is just, no, you're twisted. Well, other people, yeah, no, you're all twisted. It's just crazy. And then it's funny because they're like, aren't you too? Probably more twisted than you are. Let's have a conversation about that. Like where do you think I am? Like, let's have it. Like, it's just funny. People are weird. Number 2. So there's 7 of these. When do you realize that the person simply doesn't have the capacity to carry the weight of the vision? So this is going to be hard to get through. Like, are we already at the half an hour mark?
Yeah.
Shoot. Err. So I guess so yeah, so I guess we'll have a bonus session. Anybody who wants to stick around can. If you're able to and want to, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. And so anyways, yeah. I don't know how you go ahead and learn how to, like in your sleep at night, how to learn how to heal and how to process things. Like, I don't know how to teach people to do that. When I said that, one of the first times I said that decades ago to Tom Coons, he's like, "Oh, I get that." He understood. I mean, one thing is getting consistent sleep, getting to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time. So hopefully this has been helpful to all of you. Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.